Today we're going to learn about an artist named Faith Ringgold, and then we're going to do some art like Faith Ringgold. So back here on the board you can see a picture of one of Faith Ringgold's paintings. Faith Ringgold lived in New York when she was growing up, and she is a painter that is very well known for painting on quilts. So she actually paints on blankets. One of the reasons why she likes to paint on quilts is because her grandmother was a quilter, and so it's a way for her to remember and honor her grandmother, which is very sweet. A lot of her pictures and paintings show stories from her life. So sometimes people refer to her artwork as story quilts. So today we are going to make a story quilt. And let me tell you some materials that you might need to make a story quilt. You're going to need a piece of paper. You can use art paper, you can take paper from a sketchbook, you can even work right in a sketchbook if you would like. You can use copy paper from the printer, or you can even use a colorful piece of construction paper. So you get to choose what type of paper you would like to use. I think I'm going to use this art paper. And then you're going to need some colorful papers for adding quilt squares, or something that will look like quilt squares. A lot of times quilts are made out of patches of squares that are sewn together. So we're going to mimic how a quilt looks on our paper. You can use pages from a magazine for this part, or you can use construction paper, or I had some craft paper, or I think it could be like from scrapbook paper that usually has some patterns on it. So I think I'm going to use construction paper and this patterned paper for my quilt squares. Some other materials that you will need is a type of glue. You can use either a glue stick, or white glue would also work. My friends from Bethel know that whenever we use white glue in the art room, I like to put the white glue in a little container like a lid, and then use a glue brush to paint the glue on, and I'm going to use that in just a minute. And then you'll also need a pair of scissors, because to start you're going to take your paper and you're going to cut strips of the paper. So you don't want it to be too skinny, but you don't want it to be too thick either. So about an inch or so would be a good thickness, but you don't have to measure it out perfectly. Remember, scissors are tools, not toys, so make sure you use them appropriately. And then you're going to take your strip of paper and you're going to cut it into squares. Some of them might end up being a little bit more rectangular because we're people, we can't make things perfect. So you're just going to cut it up, and I think I'll leave that a rectangle, until you have a pile of squares that are colorful. And then let's see, I've already cut these. And then you're going to take your glue and your glue brush, or you can use your glue stick, or you can squirt it straight from the bottle if that's what you would rather do. But I'm going to paint on some glue in the corner of my paper. I like to start at the top. And then I'm going to choose one of my squares and I'm going to glue it down. And I like to pat it down to make sure that it's flat. And then I'm just going to make an edge of a quilt, make it look like a quilt. Now quilts usually have a pattern, so I'm going to make a pattern with my colorful paper of construction paper and my patterned paper. So I think I'm going to do an A-B pattern. So it will be patterned paper, colorful paper, patterned paper, colorful paper, all the way around the edge. Notice that when I put down each square, I'm going right up against the edge of the paper. I don't want my paper to be glued down out here, leaving a big blank spot on the paper. So I'm going to make sure that I glue it right up against the edge. So I need to add some glue and then keep going. And I'm going to do a pattern all the way around the edge of my paper. And it's going to keep going all the way around. You can make any type of pattern you would like all the way around, but you need to leave this part of the paper blank because you're going to draw a picture in that blank area. So let me show you a finished example. So here is a story quilt, and I have a pattern going around the edge of the paper, and then in the middle I drew a picture. And since Faith Ringgold likes to create art about her own life, I made a picture about my life. So this is from when I was little, and my sister and I tied our red wagon to a bicycle so that we could pull our cousins around the driveway, and we had a lot of fun that day doing that. So I made my own story quilt that tells just a little story about me. And then you can fill it up with colors. You can use markers, color pencils, crayons, anything that you have to make your story on the inside even more colorful. All right, so you are going to make a story quilt just like Faith Ringgold, and I can't wait to see what yours look like.